Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another review for The Old Man. The Old Man, whether you guys know it or not, has been renewed for a second season. We're talking around episode 5. This is a spoiler-filled after show. So if you haven't seen the episode yet, make sure you go and check the episode out and then come back to us and watch this as soon as you can. So me and my co-host here, Lucas, we're about to dissect it. What's going on, Lucas?
Nothing much. Getting to revelations of the old man.
Yeah, it was interesting. Oh, sorry, you guys. If you see like episode 4 below Lucas, it's my
It's
fault.
Sam's
Can't
fault.
change it.
Sam's fault. It's all
I'll
Sam's fault.
I'll take the L on that. That's why I kind of have a little squirreling down at the bottom where it's got episode 5. But episode 5 is really interesting because it's two different fronts and shifting parts. You've got Harlan and Emily that are on the plane, and then you've got you man Dan that's with a woman that he's trying to protect, but he's realizing she's got assets that he also needs as well, which is very fascinating. And it felt like with this episode that I love so much is that who needed who? Like
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of like as much as Harlan, kept on like not not necessarily pressing Emily, but it was more so like this back and forth. Because in this episode, he lets us know the audience really quickly, like, I know what's going on, I know who you are, and I don't know what to do about it, kind of situation. Um,
Exactly.
and I love that about this episode because I the one person in this episode I didn't know that I could really trust her thoughts or motivations is Emily. I really don't know if she internally is actually conflicted. I don't
Ex-
know if she is, been undercover so long that she, has a connection with this man more so than her father, or is it that she's gonna stick to her guns and play the game so that her father can be saved. I just don't know, and I give credit to the actress because I think she's doing an amazing job with it. But yeah, Lucas, what was your take on this episode and some of the highlights?
uh, my biggest takeaway of this episode to me is the relationship between Harlan and Emily. To
Yeah.
me, that's the biggest takeaway in this episode. It's one part where she says, "You're both my fathers, and I can't turn on either one of you." And I think
Mm-hmm.
that gives us the closeness that these two have, because that's something we question for a while, is just how close they both are. And here we get to see that closeness that they have with one another. And I think that's important here. Extremely important. Because this whole time we gotta wonder, one, why didn't Harlan just turn her in immediately? Two, what is this alliance that we see between them two? Because we've seen Emily talk glowingly about him and about being with his family and everything of this nature, or down to Harlan saying like there are measures in place for something like this never to happen.
Right.
It I love the way it plays it that way.
Yeah. And I think the thing that I liked about it more than anything is it didn't make Harlan come off as an idiot. Like he was sharp. Like everything that was going on, like he was picking stuff apart. He was assessing her correctly, but it's more so like the human element of what does he do with the situation, because not only is it's going to implicate him one way or another, like because it's going to be like, and we talked about this last episode, like if he finds out, and other people find out that she was the mole that was closest to him, like people would possibly believe that he allowed it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he's connected to her. Like he really is actually interconnected to her. And because that comment that she made to him, like that game that you were playing when we were in the
Mm.
interrogation, and you brought up my mother's name, the my actual mother's name. You knew that was going to cut me, and you used that to test me. I would never use your dead son
Was it
as
Clint?
a
I think
means.
that's his name.
Yeah, as a
Yeah,
means to try to dissect you, and you did that thoughtlessly. And I mean, we've known that's who Harlan is, but it's kind of like she took an actual offense to it, and he tried to keep her wise. Like, look, honey, you got to make a choice here. You either one or the other. You
exactly.
can't be both. Like, you got to pick and say, are you Abigail or are you Emily? Which one are you gonna go? Because when we land this plane, you gonna have to make a choice. Which was weird because when they did land the plane, they didn't even have enough time to even think because they were already being tested. Which adds into a
You
whole
threw me
nother.
off. Abigail?
Is it Abigail or is it Emily?
Angela. Angela.
Is it Angela?
Angela.
Yeah. I think it's Angela. Yeah.
Look, I was like, wait a minute, is this a new character that I done forgot all about in this episode? But yeah, I think that was an important part to say because you've been playing both sides.
Yeah.
And again, calling her the mother, I understand she was upset about that, but keep in mind at this point, I think he was confirming what his thoughts were
Right.
of who you possibly could be. And he
Yeah.
had to do it.
Yeah.
But
It wasn't a
also
choice.
she brings up that she had not heard that name since she was a little girl,
Mm-hmm.
since her mother first told her. But does that mean that he would have known that?
I don't know because Harlan,
Actually,
honestly,
no, I don't think he would have known that. It would be no reason to assume that the mother never told her who she was.
right. Especially when we find out more about the mother, which is very
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Um, like the mother is deep cover. Like if initially I was kind of like when she pulled, Chase over to the side and starting to talk to him about how, well, we have to keep this a secret. We can't talk about this here. And he goes outside, like, what's going on? Like, well, look, I kind of working with the Russians to work against to make sure that we're in power, but I don't want to give my husband too much power too quickly because it's going to corrupt him. And he was like, wait, what? And the fact of how deep in the mom is, like, she's got secrets on top of secrets, man. Like, it's
The big
very
reveal was
fascinating.
that the big reveal was that she was operative,
Yeah.
and that's something that no one figured that
Mm,
could be it. No one figured the reason maybe they are hunting Chase the way they are is because of that.
right.
I think those are the things that came out, and you're like, oh, okay, okay, now I kind of get the secret nature of everything between these two, because it shouldn't have been just Dan's past that it would have made them so secretive.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's kind of like from that point, that's where it gets a little muddy because Harlan, basically was like, I got them out and I got the plane and everything, and that's why they're testing me. But after that point, he didn't know anything more than that. But I don't know. I don't know if Harlan's lying either. Like it's very fascinating. Like both of these characters are masters of their trade. I think he even said like I think I taught you too well. I think he said something to that line when they were on the plane. But no, I love that back and forth. Like I loved it. I love everything about it. We could dissect that for a long period of time. But I-
Exactly.
I'm trying to think about the mom. So, and this is a question because I don't really know. So the mom, she she was married, but she also was deep cover too. Like I was kind of lost with that. Like was she actually,
You wonder if
already
she was
married to this man and
you
then
wonder if
she
she was
went?
actually married or is that part of her cover?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I don't think they ever really go into details about. They haven't. Let me rephrase this. I don't think that's something they want to reveal to us. This, what is it? One more episode left? I
I
think it's
figured it would be
6.
8. It's got to be 8, right? Because it's a full season. Because they're gonna get a season 2. Let me double check that. Let me test that. But I don't know.
Because that's a reveal they haven't even pointed out yet that she. I just assumed she was married and they turned her,
Right.
or she was put in that place to marry him.
Yeah, it's 8 episodes. I guess. Yeah, it's gonna be 8, 7, 7 total.
Okay, I knew it was. I didn't think 8.
Yeah, so we got 7 episodes. Last episode is on July  21st, which is fascinating. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's more secrets, and the funny thing is that Dan is still being haunted by his wife.
Exactly.
Um, I don't know. It's she's a very interesting enigma in the show, and we had talked about last episode like what if Dan ain't Emily's dad? We don't.
I think
There's a
that's
lot of
something we
questions we
hinted
don't
towards
know.
in the last episode, just because of the way it came out and the confusion between her and Harlan. We were kind of wondering, like, wait, maybe that's how Harlan knows her, but
Right.
clearly that's not it. I
Mm-mm.
think this episode clears that up a little bit. That's not it.
Yeah.
Like again, she was interjected in her life because her dad told her what she say. Her dad told her to pick what you want to do. This is what she
Yeah.
wanted to do, and he said, "I know someone who
Mm-hmm.
could help you."
Mm-hmm.
Not understanding that's the. It's weird because I think we assumed their conversation between Angela and her dad happened, and Chase happened with him deciding that I need you to spy on this guy for me.
Mm-hmm.
And no, that was never it. He looked at it as I need to put you under the best so you become the best.
Mm-hmm.
Just so happens now he can actually use him.
Yeah.
And that is a weird dynamic that I didn't see coming.
So
Because I would have swore it down he would have put her in that place strictly for the purpose to spy. But I don't think that was it at all.
so do you think a part of it from a dad's standpoint, from a father's standpoint, he wanted to, put her under somebody that she would succeed. But a part of him possibly in the event that something goes down, I have somebody there. Do you think it could have been a possibility, a combination of both in the back
I
of his
think
mind?
well, that goes away to me when at the end when Harlan talks about him getting both of them out.
Yeah.
At that point, we've known that these two have a shared secret, and
Yeah.
that's why Harlan never has went after him. So I
Yeah.
don't think Harlan was ever a threat to him.
Yeah.
So there would have been no need to put her there. I think he
Right.
did that strictly thinking, I need you to learn from the best.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
Again, it's a very weird dynamic. Even down to when they were talking about going back when they talk about it on the plane, and he's like, "You're a criminal," and she said, "We both have done things we
Sure
shouldn't have.
is.
You sent an assassin to kill my father,
Mm-hmm.
and I forgave you for that."
Right.
Like that's a heck of a that was a heck of a line, a heck of a statement, and a scene between them two on that airplane,
Yeah.
which which sets everything in motion for what you expect for this episode.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really good.
Because I think every interaction was more about the personal conversations between relationships, whether it be her and Harlan, Dan and his wife. Like I think that's the entire crux of this episode.
Yeah. Because with Dan and Zoe, I think that's her name, Zoe.
Yeah,
Um,
Amy Brenneman. I keep on saying, look, I automatically go to her real name, but yes, it is Zoe.
they have an interesting situation going on because I mean, from the last episode, she kind of I ain't say she kind of trapped him, but she put him in a situation where he had to make the hard choice, and he kind of was like, all right, whatever, I'll do. I'm just floating with it. It threw her off because she's like, wait, you're good with it? He's like, look, at this point, I need to protect my daughter, and she's about to be in a dangerous situation. I got to make moves now. So if you cool, if you really want to be down, like let's go. But in this episode, like they start to dissect each other too, because he kind of rationalizes why she is the way she is. Like he was
Yep.
like something on the lines of like naturally see the breaks, the fractures, the inconsistencies in the person and know how to do it.
Yeah,
Other people
exactly.
normally kind of search and pry. You already just know. And that's a very fascinating thing because he made a real interesting statement. I don't trust her. I don't trust Zoe. For whatever reason, I still don't trust her. he said, I think, and I quote, either one, that's a natural ability you have, or you are a secret operative that's been doing
Well,
this
he
for
said that,
years.
and then he gave three options, right? He
Yeah,
said either the natural ability, your secret operative, and I forget what he said the third one was, or if the secret operative was the third one, because he gave
yeah,
three reasons why you would think that way.
yeah, yeah. I can't remember either. But I don't know,
But
bro.
it wouldn't make much sense for her to be a secret operative because technically he walked into her life.
But did he though? Because he remember when we think about
Remember though,
the house.
he he left the situation. He attempted to rent a house,
Mm-hmm.
and to me, yeah, because
But think,
other
so
than
think
that, you
about it
don't
like
want to
this
get to
though.
you definitely don't want to get to the point where everybody's a secret operative. It wouldn't make a good show, because at that point it's like, oh, so I just knew you would stop at this residence. It would make no sense for him to do it, because
Because
remember, he neglected things in the article to even stop at that house. So if she needed it to be a situation where it would be a setup, you wouldn't put no dogs in there for him to stop there, because that should have been enough for him to be like, yeah, I can't use that place. What's the next place that I can use?
it's just always weird to me with Zoe because we've never seen the actual ex-husband. They've never shown a flashback of anybody. We've never seen the son.
Is
Like
it because
all
she's
this is
just a
just a story.
is
It's
it
been
because she's a
exposition.
part-time character? But also keep in mind, the agency's already said she has a son. They've looked her up to see that she has a son. So if she was an operative, who would she be working for?
I
Chase
don't.
has no like there would be no other agency for her to work for. Like
It's
they've
just
literally pointed out, like we're monitoring her son to make sure she doesn't call him. Or when they brought up, she called her son.
mhm.
It was one time. We monitored the entire conversation. So no, I don't even remotely close to think she's an operative. It's very simple. This is naturally she's a protective person. Don't take much to figure that part out. She's an
she
extremely protective person. And
she
she's
is
attempting to use him. She's trying to get something out of him, even though she doesn't want to be there in the first place.
right.
Because he thinks he's protecting her. He's
Hmm.
not. He's literally every day putting her life in danger.
Right. Yeah. She's trying to get something out of him. It's just every single moment where I get to see a vulnerable place with her, they cut it away. Like even down to there was a point where in this episode after he dropped the dogs off, which is really an emotional moment. I give credit to Jeff Bridges. He really didn't want to leave his dogs, but he's like, this is a do or die situation. I got to get y'all out. I got to get everybody out. But when they got to the house for the guy he needed to go and work with for the money, she was like, I can do it. I can go and break this down. I can go and figure it out. And he was like, I don't know, it could go sideways. And she goes and does it, but we never see the conversation. She just is walking away. And I find that so weird. Like it's moments like that they keep doing that. Like
You want to know why? They're really trying to point to the audience that she's not an important character. It's very simple to me. They are clearly pointing to you. She's not an important figure here. Because that conversation was that a conversation that was needed to be heard? I would say no. You just needed to see the outcome. You don't need to see her have that conversation.
hmm,
And she's just naive. At this point, she really thinks this. I'm not even gonna tell you what I think is gonna happen to her because of her naiveness in this situation. And it's gonna be his fault. But yeah, no, not at all. Not at all.
I'm gonna stick to the theory. I really do think there's something else going on, but we'll see. We'll see. But nah, this was a solid episode. I think that the actress that played the role of Emily crushed it. Of course, my man John is Harlan is amazing in this. Jeff Bridges made some really vulnerable movements in this one. Like I love the moment with the dogs. I love the moment where he's having that breakdown conversation with her and coming to terms with stuff with his wife because his wife is saying, "Look, I'm gonna have to leave you now because you need somebody else that's gonna move you forward." And I thought that was really fascinating how that was. delivered. But I guess we'll see. We'll see how it all turns out. What are your closing thoughts, Lucas?
Mm. With this episode, you kind of are left wondering what's going to be their end game. Because what is it for Chase at this point? When he keeps on saying, I got to get everyone out, but technically, you're digging everyone in deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just a thought of getting your daughter away from Harlan? But amazingly, with Harlan, it's the safest place she can be. Like, if you pull her away from Harlan, you're putting her in more danger.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh,
are
that's one
you
thing we didn't
actually
talk about.
attempting? Who are you attempting to get out of anything but yourself?
So this is the weird thing. Do you think Dan isn't necessarily worried about Harlan, but instead he's worried about his surrogate dad, quote unquote? Because we had this really interesting moment where I think he's at the laundromat. He's talking to the assassin, and assassin's like, "Look, what's going on, man? Like, how did he know who fed him the information? Who put a mold there?" He's like, "I put the mold there. It was a favor to my son. They're both my sons. Like I care about them, and I don't need you to go and hurt my sons because I don't need this bleeding back over to me."
Mm-hmm.
Um, so do you think Dan's gonna go? Is gonna his idea is not necessarily to go after Harlan, but go after him, or is he thinking more so? I need to protect my daughter because she don't need to get overseas with this man that I left behind, so to speak. Which one do you think is going on?
It's definitely not his daughter because, again, there's no protection necessary there. I think it's self-preservation. If he's not, if he's not attempting to protect Harlan, it's self-preservation. It's one of the two.
Because if to me initially I was kind of like the theory we had that maybe she may be the actual daughter of the guy overseas, but that's out the door. So my thought was, okay, maybe he's concerned that this man is going to try to kill her because of what happened. But I don't know how Harlan's going to necessarily protect her in the situation while they're overseas either. Um,
But would the guy know? How would he know that's Dan's daughter?
that's why I have no idea. I have no
Like
idea.
Harlan only found it out because he realized it's a mold, and then he put two and two together. If nobody else knows that, how would they ever find out?
I still don't understand why the guy overseas needs Harlan there anyway. Because that's actually been the real question I've had. Why is he getting Harlan to go over there and have the conversation? What does he want out of Harlan at this point?
Is it, remember when Harlan was talking about the wife or Dan's wife, and
Mm-hmm.
as he's talking, he's bringing up stuff that only them two would know.
Right.
So how much stuff does Harlan know that he knows? Like, I need you to be the person to do this. Equivalent to I know where all the bodies are buried.
Mm, that makes sense. That actually really makes sense. Especially now that we're getting a lot of stuff that's going on with these flashbacks. Yeah, you may be right. It may be connected to something that actually went down that we don't know about the mom. Um, and he needs that last bit of power. I don't know. We'll see. We'll definitely see. I'm excited. But yeah, this episode is gonna be debuting tonight at 10 o'clock, I believe, on FX. So definitely go and check it out if you have not
Uh,
already.
at 3 a.m. on Hulu.
Oh, really? Oh, my
Yep.
bad. So yeah, you guys go and check it out. We got a lot of other different things we're covering as well. We're gonna be covering Blackbird on Apple TV very soon. I think we've got something else coming down the pipeline called Paper Girls. That is gonna be on Amazon Prime. So stay tuned. We got a lot more content coming. Anything else? We miss anything, Lucas?
I don't think so. Not for this episode. I mean, and amazingly, with all the reveals that kind of happen, it's not a real big episode.
Right.
Or it moves as a slow paced thriller in the big reveals to make it a big episode. But it's not a lot of story beyond the central characters here.
Right. Yeah. Well, we'll be back, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell button. Peace, everybody.
Filing out the top of
I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing on